Morning. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Producer Showcase. My name is Steve Poulos. I'm actually sitting in for Michelle Wakeham this morning, who is unable to be here. But I'm fortunate enough to be here with some folks that over the past few years I've come to know a little bit. I'd like to introduce you to Jeff Slayton. Well, and Jeff, you're with Saco Bay Rotary?
Saco Bay Rotary, yes, sir.
And also Bill Caney. And you're actually with Bedford Saco Rotary.
Yep.
I actually got that right. I thought for sure I would mix that up. As you folks, most of you are aware, every year around this time we actually have the Rotary TV auction, which runs all day. And we've all over the course of the last, I guess, 25 years, at one point or another, called in and bid on items. Partially, we're going to talk about that on the show today, obviously. But I thought really what we need to do, gentlemen, is to actually discuss, what is Rotary? I've passed by these Rotary signs all over the place, and what exactly is it? And, how do you give? I know that this money is raised, and you folks both in various ways donate to nonprofits, and some directly, as you mentioned, and also, some indirectly through other nonprofit agencies. Can we talk a little bit about that first to let people know what exactly the Rotary is?
Well, Jeff, you've done a bunch of research on what Rotary is, so why don't you tell Steve what you know?
Well, when people ask me what Rotary is, I tell them as simple as I can. It's an organization. It's the first service club that was formed. It's actually from the United States. They started in 1905 in Chicago, and now it's comprised of 33,000 clubs in over 200 countries with 1.2 million members.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah.
And also 1905?
1905.
Wow. That's an incredible.
Yep. Just a group of business people.
Wow.
But to give you an idea of the scope of it now, Rotary International is really the organization that has helped eradicate polio throughout the world. So to see how powerful, to know how pervasive polio was, and to realize that an organization like Rotary has been able to essentially take it off the earth is just amazing how powerful the organization is.
And I remember I was with Customs back in the 70s, and I remember a lot of these, actually some of these diseases, unfortunately, are kind of resurfacing again with the global community is kind of, it's very easy for people to travel nowadays and stuff. So I guess we've had a little bit of a resurgence of that. But I remembered actually reading, I'm trying to think, polio was one, but there were actually, a couple of other, I don't know if it was malaria or there's just a lot of, medical type organizations, I guess, that have benefited one way or another from the Rotary. Yeah. That's incredible feat.
Yeah, but what's important, I think, for people to understand is as international as Rotary is, really and truly, Jeff's club and our club are made up of local people who really, most of our money stays right here to help local causes, be it individuals, or it could be like big projects like Rotary Park, is a great example, or the addition to MacArthur Library of things that our club has supported, and I know your club has done some big projects as well, like the Heath and so the Heath Walk and some other things that are things that people can see every day. But then there's also all the local support for things like the food pantries, or thousands of dollars that go to kids that are going on to college or to community college, to help them out with their, the high cost of education. That's all coming from the dollars we raise from projects just like the auction.
Now, I guess the first thing I'm thinking, 1905, so many of these groups around the world, you're involved in some. Why is it that we don't know? Other than that sign that looks like a gear, I wonder, why is it that we don't know that much about it? Is it, some people are very good, I guess, at selling themselves when they really don't have a lot going on, but you folks obviously are pretty busy. Is there a Facebook page for your organization?
Each club has a Facebook
Okay.
page. Each club has a website. I think that, I think Rotary, in part, it's because I don't think we've necessarily, at least around here, publicize ourselves enough in terms of what we do. But on the other hand, that's also not our mission.
Not
Our
what you're
mission is
about.
to help
Right.
people. And though I think it's important to have events like the auction so that people realize, because throughout the day we're showing all those snippets of projects that we've supported, so people realize where their money goes.
And I guess, basically you work kind of quietly behind the scenes, you spend your time making it actually happen as opposed to talking about it. Which, today though, with all these different, Facebook and all these different social media networks, and I guess it's easy for people to kind of find out what you're about and get on there, and you could probably Google your organization and get everything they need. But I mean, like I said, we are going to talk a little bit about or a lot, I guess, about the Rotary auction, and we did talk about the fact that it's changed a lot. Is there anything new this year that you're starting, or is it basically run the same way?
No, other than celebrating the fact that it's our 25th.
25th, right.
No, it's the same auction that people have been watching for years.
I mean, I know we talked briefly about some of the things. I mean, in past, going back to 1990, you had boats and cars, and I don't know if you ever had a plane, or a train, but
No, we limited our transportation.
and you also had for years. I know you had houses, I believe, or at least shacks or storage sheds, and
We're not selling any houses. We do have 2 storage sheds we're selling again this year, and we've been selling those since the beginning. Yeah, the students over at the regional center build them for us, and we move into people's houses to buy them. I don't think they can live in them though, Steve.
no. But didn't they ever have? I thought for sure that there was actually a couple of projects that they worked at the high school one year where they actually had houses or a
Well,
house.
of course, our club sponsors the house building project
that's
at
what
the
it is.
regional center.
Okay.
And so the kids get that hands-on experience of building a house every single year, and that house gets sold, and then we take that money and float
Okay.
back into the project. So
All right.
yes, that is
So
true.
it wasn't an auction, but you
But-
actually do. Yeah,
yeah.
I was trying to remember. It's been a long time, but
And that's
yeah.
we were the first club in Maine to support a project like that, and it's been fantastic for the kids over the years.
That's awesome. I mean, I know that it's like anything else of this type, I suppose. You look in, you say, an auction, but there is a lot of work that goes into that. How long does it take to actually prepare for this? I mean, this is an all-year project kind of?
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been going? I mean, since before
we
Christmas.
meet every Friday for week after week for months, just to make sure everything's together.
I mean, the biggest part is soliciting 410 items
Right.
that we're then going to go out and sell. So we're going to the local businesses and getting them to donate, and they've been incredibly supportive over the years at giving us some really good stuff that people want to buy. But then you've got all the details about making sure that everything goes as well as it can go with
Right.
a bunch of volunteers running a television production for a day.
Not just a television, but a live television. Nobody does that anymore because of that, so that's quite a feat in itself. Time Warner does a great job at that as well. The location that you're at now is the community center, or the J. Richard Martin Community Center in Biddeford.
Yep.
Which is a little bit easier, I think, for people to get around, although it's busy, but there are some parking lots there if they bid on some item and they go to pick them up. In the old days, you were at the rec center in Saco, which
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
that
But
was-
last couple of years, we had to go upstairs in the community center in
Right.
Biddeford because of the renovations to the gym. But those are done now, so we're going to be back downstairs. So it's really going to be easy for people to get in and out and get their items.
a lot easier for you folks to set up, too. You're not going up and down that little elevator 400 times a
With
day.
the barbecue grills. Yeah, that was fun.
I suppose I know in the past too, and I think you probably have that this year. Mike Lennon and some of the guys from Time Warner actually did like a time lapse thing of the setup of all the cameras and also all the items and everything, which gives you kind of an idea on how much work goes into it. Do you look forward to this every year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and being a chair this year, I look
Yeah.
forward to being over. But yeah, because I mean, it's a really it's a lot of work leading up to it, but the day itself is a lot of fun. I mean, you know, people are, it's like great interaction between the two clubs. You know, it's really a chance for us to work on a giant project together. Being on live television at times has its humorous moments, things that are said or not shouldn't be said, but
Right.
they're anyway. No, it's a blast the day
And,
of.
and I'll tell you, you've done over the years. I mean, really, it's gone off pretty much without a hitch. I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's live television. But anybody that watches, for instance, either main public television auction, which, you know, they do all the time, and you know they were a larger organization as far as the television station and stuff back in the day, anyway. And you know, you folks did a better job, I think, overall. You
Well,
had-
ours is pretty fast moving,
Yeah.
you know, and I think because of that, you know, people don't get bored. I mean, they can find the items they want, they can wait, get to those, bid on them, and you know, then go do something for the rest of the day and go back and watch some more. But it's quick and it moves, and again, because you have different people throughout the day emceeing or auctioneering, you know, you recognize people you know, and it's a lot of fun just to hear some of the crazy comments that
Yeah.
go back and forth.
And it's sort of like, to me anyway, seeing it, it's sort of like Christmas, where you know all this anticipation, and then before you know it, it's over, and you're saying, "Wait a minute, you know, how much work went into that?" And it's like done. But I suppose after, what is it, 9 hours, or how long do you actually? 9 hours. That's a long day.
Yeah, 12 to 9.
12 to 9. I remember those days. Jeez. And like you mentioned earlier, I think when we were talking, now it's sort of spread out a little bit, but in the early days, I mean, were you on the first show?
Absolutely.
That was like you were there. That was you. Boom.
Yeah, and because we were in the rec center, I mean, everybody was right on top of each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
That room had to be 120 degrees. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Bob Began, my co-MC, sweat like nobody's business.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was like towels after towels.
And we didn't have the luxury that we do today with lighting. In those days, the lights, I mean, these, like, for instance, the
Yeah.
studio are all fluorescent, and the newer ones are LED. In the old days, I mean, the cameras required a lot more light, and we're talking about halogen and quartz lighting, which, like, could melt the paint off a wall. So we're talking about a little room with a lot of heat, and the equipment, too, is the same way.
And of course, back then we were auctioning off a lot more physical items. Today, we're a lot of gift certificates.
Right.
So there isn't the moving back and forth
Right.
of things like there used to be. I mean, we were moving big, you know, like toilets in and then sinks out, and,
Oh, yeah.
and it was crazy.
It worked, right?
That did.
And I think you pretty much, you know, the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You pretty much, like, as you mentioned, you've stayed that way
Yep.
throughout the whole time. And I guess because it's successful. What, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, what, in the last few years, what has been the return on all your work? I mean, as far as monetarily, you raised quite a bit of money.
Over the last 24 years, we've raised over $1 million.
That's incredible. That's incredible because, I mean, we're talking about Maine, first off, big place, very small population, and we're only talking about a couple of organizations. I mean, that's incredible. Does it help with the ability you have now, I guess, with Time Warner kind of going statewide? Do you find that you get calls from all around, or is it still primarily locally?
I think, I mean, you've been on the phones. I don't know if you've
Right.
gotten calls from too far away.
I don't think so. Most of the people know that they're going to have to come there either that night or the next morning to pick up their items. But I know it's televised in New Hampshire, in northern Maine. It's televised all over.
And it live streams.
Yeah, right.
And we have a bunch of snowbirds from
Yeah,
Florida who
yeah.
will bid on items and then make arrangements to have a family member or something come pick them up. So we have picked up some business from that too. So that's kind of nice. But it's just so incredible how it's the same people year after year who will buy a lot of stuff. So it's a great support for us. But they're also picking up some really nice stuff, usually at a pretty good price.
And as I mentioned too, let's face it, it's tough for people to maybe donate to causes now. Financially, a lot of people are strapped. But if you're going to do it, this is a great way to do it because you're actually getting something in return, and you're actually, as you meant, I mean, this stuff is donated to you for the most part. I know in the past you did have to actually you got a very reduced maybe price for some things that you had to purchase, like I think in the old days with cars.
But we're not doing that. We don't do
You
that
don't
anymore.
do that anymore.
No.
So this stuff basically, if people buy it, they're donating every penny of that right to the organization, which is great, and they're getting something for it.
And this, for both clubs is by far the biggest fundraiser. Because if you're raising, roughly 50 a year, after some expenses, each club is coming away with over $20,000 that goes right into the charitable fund, and that money goes right back out to all the great causes that we support. And that's a lot of money.
It
to
is
be
a
able to
lot
put
of
back
money.
in.
I'm always amazed every year when people say how much you folks raise, because, as I said, I mean, really, it's just a couple of little towns and area. You know what I mean? It's like, it's incredible. Obviously all the work that you've done pays off in the end, but also, we have great people in the state of Maine that.
But you pointed out earlier too, is that if somebody knows they're going to go to a particular restaurant or a particular business and they're going to spend their money there anyway, why not buy it at the auction? It supports a great cause. They end up with the same, and maybe even, maybe they're buying a $50 gift certificate for $40. So
Right.
they've saved themselves 20%, and they still are going to go to the same place they were going to shop at anyway. So
That's absolutely. So it's a great way to actually help, and you don't have to be rich to do it, actually. If you've got some place you like to frequent, like Rosalinda's and all these fine places. I mean, is that, I don't know if you wanted to talk about some of the stuff that you actually have for auction this year, if you even prepared for that, but is there anything that stands
well,
out?
I mean, we have the staples,
Yeah.
the KFC gift certificates, TJ's Pizza. I mean, two organizations that have supported us from the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Rosalinda's and Lisa's Pizza, have been huge supporters of the auction, from the get-go. We have some really nice large items this year. Gutbout Plumbing and Heating has donated like an air conditioning system. That we have a couple of stays at places, one on Prince Edward Island for a week. And I don't know where the other one is, but some really nice, some barbecue grills Jeff mentioned. We have a kayak this year. A lot of really nice big items, and then those $50, $60, $100, quickie board items that are things that people want and need anyway, and so it's great to get them through the auction.
Yeah, and I understand you mentioned about the streaming, which, I was always a little concerned in that there is a delay with that. But it's pointed out, and people are aware of that, yet they still bid. And so I guess it's, they enjoy the actual process and everything too. And they do win. I mean, it's not a,
Yep.
They do win with those
Yeah, there's
bids.
like a 10-second delay.
Yeah.
So, we remind them throughout the day
Right.
that they got to call in a little earlier.
Right. So that's important that people, out there know that is available because, let's face it, we're all kind of busy these days, and hey, we all, a lot of us have smartphones, and you could follow it that way, and call up and bid or whatever. Do people have the ability to bid online?
No.
No.
No. We've looked at that a couple times, and I think that, as you say, right now it's not broken, so we're not going to fix it.
Don't
but,
fix it right.
that may come.
Yeah.
I know a couple of clubs in Massachusetts have tried that, and they're working on a pre-bid kind of thing, where you can bid up to a certain time, and then that becomes your base bid on television. But we kind of feel like we want people to have the chance to start at zero and bid
Right.
it up on live TV.
Yeah, and it makes it for the folks that enjoy that, and there are people that do enjoy that. It's almost like betting. Going to a casino, they get to bid on and see if they're going to win, And I know my wife passed away many years ago, but in the 90s, when she used to watch it, she really enjoyed it for that, and the kids and everybody else. So it's kind of neat. Plus, let's face it, you get to see celebrities.
Oh, huge celebrities. Absolutely.
Well, you're worldwide now. I mean, somebody in Singapore could watch it. They may not want to bid on it, but, But that's amazing. Now, is there anything that you want to say directly to the audience? Like, do you have anything that you'd like to kind of
Well, I think
make clear?
it's important that we want to thank all the businesses that support the auction year after year, and I think, without them, obviously we don't have an auction. And we really want to encourage people, if you are watching the auction and you see that there are businesses that have supported us, please support them back by going and patronizing them when you can, when you need an item, buy it local, buy it from these businesses that have donated and supported us for 25 years. I think that's an important message. People donate because it's supported, but they also donate because they want a little bit of publicity for,
Sure.
And that's fair.
Give and take, yeah. I mean, everything's like that in this world, I guess, but if you're going to do it with you folks, right? Why go anywhere else, as one of our old dealerships used to say all the time here in town. And I did promise you that we'd pick mostly on Bill, but not you
that.
today. But
thank you. No, that's very nice. One thing that's really nice, I know this year, in the Courier, and I believe last year too, they're going to put every single auction item. You can see it, a week in advance?
Yes.
So you can actually go through, see what lot it's going to be in, and be kind of watching television right then. So it's, to bid on some stuff that you want.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that is something that's helpful. Of course, people don't have to do that. They don't have to have a computer.
You can sit there for 9 hours and watch the whole show.
Right. And they
But
do.
if they want to go on to that, as Jeff said, you go in that ad and you circle the ones you want.
Absolutely.
You can also go on our auction website and see all the items listed there as well. So it gives another way of at least previewing and knowing what you want to target.
Hey, even if they want to just tune in and see if there's any bloopers or something worth seeing, what the heck, right?
And there are guaranteed to be plenty of those.
Now, you guys, I remember, I mean, there may have been a few, but considering it's live television and it's as basic as you can get, that was, nowadays, of course, you use computers to do some of the putting the graphics up and stuff, but matter of fact, our old buddy Mark Cantera from years ago,
That's right.
he had one of the first computers, actually. I think maybe we had it, for the first show. Might have been maybe 92, maybe 93 or something, but which made it high tech. And it would take all night to render some of the stuff that today would be done in 30 seconds. But
Well, actually, our auction was way more technologically advanced than the public broadcasting one. I mean, where they had, everything was handwritten when they did them, and Mark had done all these great graphics of all the items just from year one. I mean, it was incredible. Though I will say, we sold most of Bob and I sold our advertising the first year by people paying us to wear their hats.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there was a little primitive in that regard.
That's pretty good.
that's a great idea. So do you have anything maybe in closing that you'd like to actually say to the folks out there? I know you explained a little bit yourself a minute ago, but
Well, I found an app the other day that I didn't know existed. It was actually it's the Rotary Locator app. And if you go to your smartphone, it's a free app. You can actually download that. It gives you all 33,000 clubs in the whole world. So if you happen to leave the country, or you're just in northern Maine, or you're wherever, you can actually find a club. And it also gives you a lot of insightful information on Rotary itself and how to join. And it's pretty awesome app.
technology, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing.
But of course, we want people to go in there, download it, then wipe out all the other locations except for Saco Bay and Biddeford, Saco.
Absolutely.
The one thing I want to mention, Steve, about the auction is it does raise a tremendous amount of money for both our clubs. And one of the things that our club has found, especially over the last few years, is locally there are a lot of individuals and families that are hurting. They're struggling. It's a choice between heating your home or eating. And, we know there are a lot of people out there who are proud and they're reluctant to ask for help, but we really hope that they'll reach out to someone they see on the screen during the auction. They say, hey, I know that guy, that woman, and they happen to be Rotarians. Don't hesitate to ask them for help. Or if you know a neighbor or especially an elderly person that you feel might be really having a hard time, we want to help them. And because of the resources we raise from our auction and our other fundraisers, we have that ability. So please don't hesitate to ask, because that's what we're there for.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Fabulous. It's a lot of work, and as I say, folks, really, you want a good time, tune in and watch, even if it's just if you check ahead of time and see what the certificates are there, tune in and watch, and who knows, you may end up with a grill. Something you haven't planned on. But if you do get the grill, you have to ask that Jeff take it in the elevator up and down a couple of times.
Absolutely.
Because as they mentioned this year, they're actually going to be back in the gymnasium, which is ground level, as opposed to the, I don't know, they say it's the second floor, but it actually is like 3 floors up there.
It's up there, yeah.
Carry all the stuff up the stairs and then to get up in the elevator, and fabulous job, and I know you're going to be excited to be back on that main level, and just makes it a lot easier. It's more open and a little bit less work, I think. But well, thanks very much. I really
thank you very
appreciate
much.
you gentlemen
Steve, thank you
being
for
here
doing this,
today. And if there's anything, if you want to talk some more, even prior to the, I don't know, did we actually mention when the auction
No,
is?
probably ought to bring that up.
That would be March 30th.
March 30th.
Sunday, March 30th. Starts at noon, goes till 9. Same format, 36 quickie boards, 5 big boards. Be able to bid throughout the day.
Okay.
A lot of items will be repeated from board to board. We have a lot of repeat items, but we have a lot of new stuff, and I think it's going to be a great event. As I say, our 25th. That's a big deal. 25
That's
years.
excellent. 25 years. Whew. Goes by fast, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about
Yeah.
before. I actually had brown hair when we started this
Yeah.
auction, and that's a faint memory now.
Yeah, and I also had a lot of wavy hair, which is disappearing, but quickly. But so March 30th, 12 to 9, and also it's going to be on locally here on Channel 3, and also I think the Time Warner Channel 9
9.
locally here, and
Yes.
through a lot of sections throughout the state, I guess. I'm not sure how they actually do that this year, but so easy enough to tune in, and also online you can go to the Biddeford website and biddefordmaine.org, and you can look for the live streaming broadcast, and you can see it on there, as well as, I guess, does Time Warner have it in a separate site, do you know, or is
No,
it
they
just
do
through
not.
that?
And we really want to thank you for
Oh, yeah.
Biddeford for doing that, because without you doing it, we don't have a live stream.
Right.
So that's a huge service that you guys provide us, and thank you for that.
Well, as you know, the people of Biddeford and the local powers have fully supported public access, educational, and governmental access, all 3 components. And this is obviously part of that, so we're lucky, I guess, here to do it, and only too happy to help. So
Sure. Awesome.
thanks very much.
Thank you.
And folks, tune in again for the next producer showcase, in which hopefully Michelle will be better and much better to look at, and obviously much better betterer at speaking than I am. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again.